Namaskar to all of you. Jai Shri Ramakrishna. Life is the unfoldment and development of a being under circumstances tending to press it down. This was one of the remarkable and striking definition of life by Swamiji. This is what makes the situation a crisis, especially if it comes suddenly and we are not ready for it and the situation is totally new. COVID has been such a new tragedy and a comedy for various reasons. In a way, the COVID-like situation has been confronting this world almost every 100 years. It was influenza, and then it was Spanish flu, and now it is corona. It may continue like this in the future also. Even otherwise, we are presented with various crises at different stages of life. The question, how do we confront a crisis, and that too in the Ramakrishna Vivekananda way, will arise in our minds. The confrontation of crisis has got three models of facing it. One is Vivekananda way, the second is Sri Ma Sharda Devi way, and the third one Sri Ramakrishna way. Being principles, these laws of these methods don't change. Once if we can grasp these methods and absorb it by understanding it and applying it without prejudice, we will get the key to close the doors to all crises. In fact, many of us may be applying this method by the innate logical nature of our own nature and thinking process without realizing it as a sure method to tackle the crisis. By recognizing it, we can do it consciously and in a more better way in our life. Now let us see the crisis confrontation tactics of the Holy Trio. First we will take up the Swami Vivekananda way of confronting a crisis. This is beautifully described in his life under the title Face the Brute. All of us know the story of how Swami Vivekananda, who was confronted by monkeys in Varanasi and who after initial confusion and faltering and running away, rose to the full height of his personality and started confronting the crisis when the power-packed phrase Jangaliyon ka samna karo, which Swamiji phrased as face the brutes, fell on his ears, uttered by another monk on the other side of the road. A great lesson indeed. Unknown from somewhere, some monkeys jumped from the tree and started chasing Swami Vivekananda, who in an absorbed mood was walking on the path, which on one side had a pond and on the other side had a high wall. Taken by surprise, because for most of us, dogs or even cats and sometimes crows chasing us is well known and therefore is not new and it could be tackled. But monkeys chasing us, unprecedented and unknown and so totally unanticipated and new, and therefore we have no answers for new things of life. Most of us respond from the by-hearted answers from our memories. But here it was totally new and uncertain, and so there was a real crisis and a challenge in the true sense. As is human, Vivekananda also was overtaken by the event and he started running away because that is the initial nervous reaction and response, and he and most of us are habituated with such a nervous initial reaction. But how many of us respond from the fullness of our personality? When the way is shown, that is a lesson we have to learn from Swami Vivekananda. He was also confused, for never was he ever chased by monkeys in his life. But when he heard the voice of the monk from the other side, asking him not to run but face the brute, Vivekananda, the Vedanta Kesari, emerged from his inside. And as Vivekananda turned towards the monkeys with flashing eyes and daredevil-looking face, the monkeys started fleeing away from the real lion of Vedanta. That was a great lesson he learned, says even the Swami Vivekananda. That marks the difference between us and the great Swami Vivekananda. He was an instant and constant learner and a fighter to the core. But most of us are buffalo brand personalities, and like the buffaloes on the Mumbai roads, which don't move even after much honking, but move only after beating, we don't easily and quickly learn the lessons of life. This is a powerful tool which Swamiji phrased as face the brute. Instead of running away, come what may, if we can confront or face the problems, we have the chance of overcoming or solving the problems and challenges of life. But if we run away from the problems and the crisis, they will constantly haunt and chase us and nag us from behind and torture us. Life has got only two results. One is success and another is failure. If you face, we may get both success or at times failure, but there is a sure chance of getting success once we start facing or confronting the crisis. If you don't confront a crisis, there are sure chances that you will fail. And that is what is happening in the present situation. As they say in Mumbai, Ramdas ka bhai bindas. We should be bindas. Daredevil attitude we must have. Not that we should be a rough and foolhardy person, but we should not be buckling down under the pressure, at least mentally. We should have learned the lesson from the first COVID wave itself and should have become courageous to endure the hardships of social distancing, wearing masks, sanitizing our hands and atmosphere, and following all other rules. Then the second wave would not have attacked us, but we let our guard down because we forgot the lesson face the brutes. And the second wave has already come. The way out once again is face the brute. First, mentally remain strong and firm. Maybe it will not be so serious by itself as it is being pictured, but by panicking we may aggravate its effects. Second, death is certain even without COVID. Even before the COVID event, people were dying. So be calm, be collected, and gather one's strength around one's own personality. Thirdly, as taught by Vivekananda and Vedanta, we are the Atman which has no birth, no death, and no disease. The body comes and goes. We are the infinite spirit, the light within, the Atman in front of whose mighty nature the whole universe pales into insignificance. Therefore, teach yourselves, teach everyone his real nature. Call upon the sleeping soul and see how it awakes. Power will come, glory will come, goodness will come, purity will come, and all that is excellent will come when the sleeping soul is roused to self-conscious activity. Most of us are working mechanically and floating in an unconscious flow of the society. If we become self-conscious, not become self-centered, then we will be alert and aware in doing all actions and will be careful under all the situations. We will not imitate, but we will think and act sensibly and sanely and do what is good for us and also what is good for many. This is the first method of Swami Vivekananda. Now we move on to the second method of Sri Ma Sharada Devi. Face the brute, face the situation, understand it, don't get depressed and abnormally worried, and at the same time do your best and leave the rest to God was what we learned from Swami Vivekananda method. But then the question arises, we are all not Vivekanandas, what shall we do? That is true. We are what we are, and what we actually are comes out during the crisis. When we forget ourselves and we are overtaken by the challenges and problems. There is a saying in Hindi in Bombay, यदि सच बोलना है तो दारू पियो. Because that is, when you want to tell the truth, get drunk. Because when you get drunk, you are not conscious and what is inside naturally comes out. Even during crisis also, when we are overpowered by the challenges and the situations, we become little unconscious instead of becoming self-conscious, and what is inside comes out. Inside we have our own sanskaras, the mental impressions and our karmas, and we get confused while these karmas and the mental impressions come out. Here comes, in this situation, a powerful, practical, sensible and sane method of Holy Mother Shri Sharada Devi. Yes, sometimes the crisis is bigger than us and we have no answer to it, and we don't know what to do and we are beaten by it. But instead of drooping down, Holy Mother says, don't lose your heart and faith. Pray to God. He listens. This is a simple but a power-packed and high voltage method. Gather all your emotions and feelings, and with tears pouring down your eyes, earnestly pray to God, to Sri Ramakrishna. Why? To Holy Mother herself to help you in removing or overcoming the crisis. Holy Trio surely answers our prayers. 1 year ago, when the corona wave started raging in this country and all over the world, I got a WhatsApp message of a man who was stuck with corona and who prayed to Holy Mother and he was cured. This message probably was sent by some devotees of Sharda Math. This man was a volunteer in one of our centers. There are numerous incidents of Holy Trio listening to our prayers and really answering and saving us from great dangers and risks. Holy Mother says, when one prays, God listens and He fully removes all the miseries, or sometimes instead of a fracture of a leg, there will be a simple thorn prick. So there is a reconciliation of prarthana and karma here. At least we will have the benefit of contacting Holy Mother heartily. We will have the benefit of contacting Holy Mother heartily through prayers, at least for some time, when such crises, challenges and problems appear in front of us. So pray to God and don't become a prey, P-R-E-Y, to your fear, your weakness, your worries and the situation confronting you. Use the opportunity to your positive advantage by praying to God. Holy Mother also says, Chado Chinta, Bhavo Amai. Stop worrying and start thinking of me in crisis. Shri Sharada Devi is a crisis nivarini ma, karunamayi ma. So this is a beautiful, very advantageous, convenient and easy method without losing our self-conscious. Pray to God during the crisis, and in a way prayer awakens the inner power. This is the second method of the Ramakrishna Way tradition in confronting a crisis. We now come to the third method of confronting the crisis, of tackling a challenging situation. This is the method called the Ramakrishna Way. Our Ishtadevata Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was a genius of different dimension. Everything looks so simple from outside about him, but from inside it is highly profound and deep. He is an unparalleled psychologist. All of you know his two famous stories. One is the Ramericha. In this story, a devotee was forcibly made to take the extra luggage of the robbers who could not carry it. He was arrested and presented before the judge. And when questioned, the devotee remarked, by the will of the Rama, robbers robbed and put the luggage on my head, and by the will of Rama, police arrested me, and by the will of Rama, I am being questioned, presented in front of you, your honor, judge. Understanding the whole situation, the judge released the devotee, to which the devotee happily replied, by the will of Rama, your honor, judge, you have now released me. Here you see the courage of self-surrender, and everything is attributed to the will of Rama. Total dependence and utter effortlessness, even at the thought level, and there is no feeling or any action indicating that this man is worrying in crisis. This is a great energy saver and energy booster. Next story from Sri Ramakrishna, asking or giving a hint how to confront the crisis is Shalar Ghor, the story of Shalar Ghor, the house of the rascal. Once a devotee of God once a devotee whose house was on a hillock was faced with cyclone, and it seemed his house would be destroyed and blown away. He prayed to God, telling that in that house there was a picture in which Rama, Lakshmana, Sita, Hanuman and all were there. He prayed to Lord, "Oh Lord, Rama is living in that house, so please save him, save the house." Nothing happened. Then he prayed, "Oh, Lakshmana is there, please save the house." Then he told, when nothing happened, "Oh, Pavanaputra Hanuman is living in that house. Oh Lord, wind, kindly don't destroy the house, save that house." And when nothing happened and the house was blown away, the man settled down by telling, "Let it go. Let the Shalar Ghor be destroyed. Let the rascal's house be destroyed." In these two approaches, Sri Ramakrishna gives us a psychological picture of the mind of a devotee who is totally active but in a different way. He understands that it is the will of the Lord, and his whole effort and work is to put his effort in seeking Lord's grace and relying wholly on God. There is an effort of higher nature with understanding of the working of the power of God. At the same time, there is no laziness or cowardice, but courage and strength to accept whatever God gives and then face the situation squarely. Crisis brings out the identity card of ours as a devotee of God. In addition to being a practical person, we turn to God with full focus, who is the real support and reliable principle in this world. This makes us turn Godward, for that is the goal of Ramakrishna Vivekananda thought current or bhava. Turn every event, problems and crises, and success and achievements and joy to get connected to Sri Ramakrishna. This is called BSNL, connecting to Bhagavan, called as Bhakti Sanchar Nigam Limited of the Holy Trio. In all the above three processes, there is the underlying connection with God as the ultimate truth to be the refuge of our life. Japa Yajna provides us such an elite, refined, dignified and a joyful way to get connected to God through our Ishta Mantra. The name is a simple dialing number, and you never have missed call when you start doing Japam. Call his name and you get connected. For those who don't believe in God, the misery gets multiplied. For those who believe in God, the advantage gets multiplied, as through the crisis we get more and more connected to God. Dukher mod firiye dao. As Sri Ramakrishna used to say, mod firiye dao. Turn the direction of the desires Godward. Here we are turning the direction of dukha, misery, Godward. Turn the crisis as an opportunity to get linked to God. What will happen or what has to happen will happen. But in the meantime, what we do matters in making the things worthwhile or worst. So whatever may happen, we can make it happen that we get connected to God. Now do it by one or two or all the above methods, and keep yourself mentally free from worries and anxieties and depressing moods during the crisis. That is the goal of Japa Yajna. Others are secondary details. The Japa Yajna team voluntarily took upon themselves this holy task of bringing us together under the Japa Yajna canopy in the name of Holy Trio, and made us do Japam of our Ishta Mantra, and thus make us get connected and keep us connected to God under all situations. If nothing happens to us during COVID, we are benefited as we have taken the name of Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna. If something happens which also will be due to the will of Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna, then also we are benefited, for we have taken his name before and during the crisis when it occurred. Surely this is a gallant attempt to become spiritual when material and external world situation becomes gloomy and scary. In such a situation, hold on to Sri Ramakrishna like the main pillar as the child holds on to the main pillar and swings around it round and round again and again without falling down. Dear devotees and Japa Yajna Sevaks, you have offered your services for Sri Ramakrishna and also for all of us in making us turn towards God in spite of daily engagements and more so in this grim and scary situation of COVID. Let us have any situation, sukha or dukkha, get connected and make Sri Ramakrishna our Hridaya Sakha. May the saving grace and blessings of Holy Trio be on all of us now and ever. Jai Sri Ram Krishna.